the day. Just listening to Sade right now. Cherish the day, won't go astray. Each and every day. I love Sade's music, and she is a quintessential Capricorn. So, today in this video, first of all, welcome to my channel. If you're new, this is a fairly newish channel, and on my personal channel, Black Excess Rose, I discuss all things astrology, all things occult and spiritual, lifestyle, and a lot more. So in this video, I'm going to be getting into our ascendant signs. My name is Tiffany, aka Black Excess Rose. Welcome if you're new, and if you're new to astrology, we're going to learn a lot about ascendant signs, our rising signs, what they are, and their purpose, and why people that are into astrology kind of discuss ascendant signs a lot, because when you look at your full astrological chart, you pull it up and you calculate everything. You put in your date of birth and the exact time that you were born at and the location and all that. You will get a full description, a full kind of map, zodiac map, which basically has your sun sign, your ascendant sign, rising sign, your moon sign, and everything else. So you get a full in-depth analysis. You can basically calculate your full astrological chart online. There are many websites online that are free that you can go on to calculate your full astrological chart and to find out your ascendant sign, your rising sign. So if you don't know your ascendant sign, that's fine. You can still listen to this video, because I'm just going to explain what it is and get into the details with it. Ascendant sign, our rising sign, is the sign that was rising over the eastern horizon. So when you put in your time, the time that you were born at, your location, your date of birth, you will basically get your ascendant sign. It will come up and they'll basically say if you're a Aries rising, a Scorpio rising, and all that. But you can calculate that for free, or you can pay somebody to do it for you. You can do it many different ways. So it's fairly simple and easy to figure it out once you know the exact time. It's best to know like what time you were born at, though, to get a more accurate ascendant sign, get a more accurate result, because basically they say the ascendant sign can change every 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, and all that. So it's important to figure out the time you were born at, because time is important. The exact time that you were born at is important for calculating your ascendant sign. So maybe if you don't know yourself what time you were born at, maybe your parents would know. Maybe the hospital that you were born at, your parents might have a record of the time that you were born at, because that would be important to know to figure out your ascendant sign, your rising sign. Okay, so basically, what is an ascendant sign? What is a rising sign? What is its purpose, and why do people mention it a lot? Like, why do people talk about it a lot? So basically, the rising sign, our ascendant sign, is like the mask that we put on. It is our outer shell. It is our aura. It is how we come across to people on a first-hand basis, or it's like the first impression that we give off to people. And basically, why it's so important, why are like first impressions important, like why do we place so much emphasis on first impressions and all that? Well, when we're meeting someone for the first time, we need to kind of understand them, and we need to we're trying to connect to someone, we're trying to connect to them. So we need to like ask questions and ask what these people are into. And in every society, in every culture, you know, first impressions, first encounters, we place a lot of importance and emphasis on first impressions and first encounters. So the rising sign, our ascendant sign, basically it is like a mask, it is like an outer shell, it is like our outlook on life and all of that. And just because it is like what people perceive us to be on a first-hand basis, or it is our shell, that doesn't mean that it's not anything special, it's not anything important. It definitely is. And a lot of people, you know, say that your sun sign is the most important thing and all that, and our sun signs do matter and have a strong impact on how we show up in this world. But when it comes to first-hand encounters, I'd say the rising sign is one of the most important things. I personally believe when it comes to first encounters, when you're meeting people for the first time, you haven't established a connection with these people, they're not your friends, they're a stranger, you know. You're meeting maybe a new boss, you're meeting someone on a date, you're meeting people at a certain event. So you're meeting these people for the first time. In those encounters, in those moments, you know, the first encounters are very important because you're trying to establish a connection with someone and they don't know you, and you need to know about them, you need to learn about them, and they need to learn about you. So I'd say that ascendant signs are actually pretty important and pretty significant in our day-to-day lives, because yes, if you're already like, if you're hanging around people that you already know, and you know these people, you've known them for your whole life, you've gone out with them and all that, well, they will be able to see through your ascendant sign. They will be able to see through the fronts that you put up, you put on, basically. So they can basically, they'll know about what you're really like deep down and all this, especially if you've connected to them on a very deeper level, and you've gotten to know these people over a period of years, a period of months. It depends on the individual, of course, and the individuals. But the ascendant sign, basically, when we're first meeting people, like, that's what they're going to notice, that's what they're going to see. So with my ascendant sign, I'm a Pisces rising, and I think it's kind of obvious that I'm a Pisces rising. Like, sometimes people say I am Scorpio rising, or they say I am Aquarius rising. But Aquarius, and people confuse the Aquarius rising and the Pisces rising because these kinds of people can dress really quirky, and people sometimes mistake me for being Aquarius rising or Scorpio rising. But I think the reason why they mistake me for being Aquarius and Scorpio is because I like to wear a lot of dark colors sometimes. And I think that's mainly my Capricorn. It's not the Pisces, I think. Like the black and the darker colors, I think that's definitely the Capricorn, and I have a lot of Capricorn in my chart. So my rising sign is actually it's actually Pisces rising. And because of that, because I have a Pisces rising, I like to change my look a lot, as you probably can see if you go through my channel or if you go through my social media. My Instagram name is blackxsrose, and I just can't look the same all the time. And even if I have the same hair color, like, something's gonna be different, and like outwardly. So even if I have the same hairstyle, the same makeup, the clothing's gonna be different. If I'm wearing the same style of clothing and all that, my makeup's gonna be different, or or the hair is gonna be different. So I like to switch things up a bit. And so sometimes when people see me, they're like, wait, is that Tiffany? Like, who's this person? Like, is this who? I don't know who this is. And then I'm like, it's me. And they're like, oh, okay. And they look close, because they look closer, and they're like, oh wait, it's you. Like, it's you. So the Pisces rising, I like having a Pisces rising. I think it makes things interesting. Now, I don't feel like a Pisces, at the core. At the core, I am a Capricorn. That's why, I like Sade, and I'm very much like an earth sign, and most of the people that I've been friends with, like the closest friends I've been friends with, have been earth signs. So Virgo and Taurus, I really get along with Virgo and Taurus, and a lot of Capricorns have been in my life throughout my life, but I feel like in terms of friendship, Taurus and Virgo are the ones that I've connected to the most, just because when you're a Capricorn and you're with someone that's basically very much like yourself, very much like you, like when I'm with other Capricorns, it feels a bit like we get along with each other and all that, but it feels like I can pick up on their anxiety and like I can pick up on their nervous energy and all that, and it makes things awkward sometimes. But there's no like there's no like bad behavior or arguments. It's just we're so alike that it makes things awkward sometimes. So I definitely get along with Taurus and Virgo quite a bit, and earth signs a lot. So despite my rising sign, I do attract all kinds of people, all kinds of zodiac signs like are attracted to me, and come up to me and all that. But in terms of friendship, the best friendships I had throughout my life have been with Virgo and Taurus people. And I do have a lot of Capricorn in my chart. Excuse me. So yeah, with the Pisces rising, people say that people with Pisces rising tend to look a lot younger than they actually are. They tend to have a very dreamy appearance, magical appearance. Now, I don't think I have an appearance like that. I think my appearance is very much it can change a lot, but I don't think like I dress like that all the time. Sometimes I do, but like I said, it really depends on my mood. So I think with Pisces rising people, they can really change their appearance according to their mood and environment or setting. So I dress according to wherever I am, whatever setting I'm at, like location or venue or event. I will dress according to those places. So yeah, and people also say with Pisces rising how we look like mermaids and all that. I'm not sure if that's true, or we have like very fleshy appearance. Well, I do have big lips, and they say that Pisces rising do have big lips, but I don't know like in terms of like the whole mermaid thing how accurate that is, because I don't know how people perceive my appearance in general, so I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I want to get into the significance of rising signs, because you know we don't really talk about it a lot, and we don't like, as astrologers, we could definitely be talking about it more. And I think that if you're new to astrology, it's good to look into the different rising signs, go through the whole zodiac, go through all the zodiac signs and just look into the characteristics of these ascendant rising signs, just to get more details, because it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting to learn about it, And I was watching a show the other day. It's called First Dates, and I saw it on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it. It was an amazing show. They got people from all walks of life to go on dates with each other, and it's set in the UK and I think Ireland, and they have shows in like the UK, Ireland, and Australia. But I think the main show was started in the UK, and it was such an amazing show. They have it on YouTube. Some of the episodes are on YouTube and all that. But basically, it's like an example of a first encounter, because you're going on a date for the first time. You don't know the other person, so it's really like random. And like I said, they chose people from all walks of life, all races, all ages, all genders, all gender identities, and all sexual orientations. So they had a wide variety of people, and I really liked that. I really enjoyed it, because it shows an interesting dynamic, because it's not like a very it didn't seem like very fake. It seemed a bit authentic, and I really like that because so like if you watch a lot of American TV, like the show, like reality TV and all that, it can be very scripted and it can seem kind of fake. But this show, I don't know, maybe it's just the UK TV, British TV. It just seemed very organic and interesting and more authentic. Like the people that they have on the show, like they look like more authentic, I'd say, than the people in American TV shows. But and they looked really nice too. It was interesting. Maybe they got their makeup done on like behind the scenes before the show. I'm not sure, but I really liked it because they show the first encounters and they show how people kind of judge you or perceive you in the first encounter. And I was thinking to myself, like while I was watching the show, like what's the rising sign of these people? I'm trying to like figure it out. You know what I mean? Because when you meet people for the first time, everyone, it's natural to kind of like put up a front. You know, you kind of like you put up a kind of image or a persona sometimes when you're meeting people for the first time, and it's a natural kind of defense mechanism. And if you're into psychology and all this kind of stuff, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when we meet people for the first time, we kind of keep things a bit professional, or we keep things lighthearted. We keep things sometimes one dimensional. And I'm not saying that everyone does that, but we have a habit of doing that because we don't know the other person and we're just starting out the relationship, we're just starting out the connection. So it's natural to put up a front. And of course, when we do put up a front and all that, that could definitely be part of our rising sign, part of our outer shell, our image, our persona. So yes, rising signs do matter. And like I said, I change my appearance all the time, but at the core, I'm not a Pisces. You know, I don't have like, I do have certain like artistic elements and stuff like Pisces do, but at the core, I'm very much a Capricorn. I'm very much traditional, earthly, old fashioned sometimes, reserved and all that. So the Pisces rising definitely can throw people off because they'd mistake me for being very out there and artistic and all that. But sometimes I like keeping to myself. Sometimes I don't want to go out and go to like a bunch of art shows and all this or music festivals. Like I want to just chill on my own and I want to have time to myself, you know, like a Capricorn would. And I'm very much independent, and I have a lot of leadership qualities and a lot of kind of self-reliance or self-motivation. So I'm not like dreamy la-di-da like a Pisces, but maybe when I first meet people, it might come across like I'm very much Pisces and, you know, out there and all that. But when I start to have conversations with people and they and we're talking and all that, chatting, they'll soon realize, you know, the Capricorn, they'll soon like feel it, you know, it just comes out. Because at the core, I am a Capricorn, so it's difficult for me to sometimes get that across to people right away, but I think it comes out, like whether I want it to or not, it just comes out. So yeah, now I want to get into like not every single rising sign, but I want to get into the rising signs that have stood out to me the most and what I notice, like what kind of features and qualities they have. Because like I said, with the Pisces rising, they say we look very dreamy. We have these kinds of magical looks, airy fairy looks, mermaid like features. So let's get into another rising sign, because I don't want to just talk about my rising sign. That would be boring. So let's talk about Aries rising sign. I find with Aries rising, Aries ascendant, they can look very chiseled and athletic. They can have very sharp features sometimes, and the eyes will be kind of like, I find with Aries rising, sometimes the eyes can be slanted a bit, just a little bit, and very toned athletic bodies naturally. And sometimes Aries rising women I find have straight kind of like a straight figure. Like I haven't seen a lot of Aries rising women with the very curvaceous body. Maybe they exist, I'm not sure, but I've seen very like straight athletic features, like very strong. Like Aries rising people can be very strong. And another rising sign that has stood out to me, of course, is Scorpio rising, the infamous Scorpio rising. Prince RIP, rest in power, is a Scorpio rising. He was a Scorpio rising. And with Scorpio rising people, I find, of course, they have very intense eyes, like the stare, very piercing, intense eyes. And they look really good in dark colors, in like maroon, dark wine red, black, navy blue, emerald kind of green, a dark emerald green. They look really nice in those colors. And sometimes some Scorpio rising women can have like the Cupid's bow thing, or like the peaked lips where the lip is kind of pointy. So they can have like kind of sharp features. Even if their face is kind of like chunky, it kind of, they might like have high cheekbones and the sharp eyes and all that. And they're generally like slim. They like to keep slim and all that. Oh, let's talk about Cancer rising sign, because it's kind of like the opposite of Scorpio. It's more like soft features, very fine and very soft. It's like small hands. Cancer risings can have small hands, big round dreamy eyes. Eyebrows can sometimes go down, curve down a bit, and soft lips. Let's get into some of the air rising signs. So Gemini rising signs are stereotyped as being very, like, they look very young for their age. So if you have like a Gemini rising, it's kind of like sometimes you can get carded a lot. Like if you go to a club or certain places, they like, wait, how old are you? You know, like they don't believe that you're old, or they don't believe that you're of age, like legal age to enter. But that's a problem with Gemini rising. And also maybe, you know, people might not take the Gemini rising seriously in the first encounter. Even though like their sun sign might not be Gemini, it might be like something else. The sun sign could be something else, but because this person has a Gemini rising, it's like people sometimes like they can be very funny, they can be very goofy, or people might just think they're a bit immature in the first encounter, or you know, they might crack some jokes and all that might be inappropriate. But it can be a good thing in the long run, like in the future, because when everyone's like aging, getting old and all that, the Gemini rising is just going to look young forever, and that can be a really good thing. A really good physical trait, or a really good physical attribute to have. Now, I also want to talk about Capricorn rising. Oh my goodness. Capricorn rising people, Capricorn ascendants, can look a bit more mature for their age. So kind of like the opposite of Gemini. So they can look very serious and a bit stern sometimes. They can have sharp features because of Saturn. The way that Saturn kind of influences your appearance or changes your appearance, like it will give you very like dull, kind of sharp features. And you look kind of more mature and serious. That's kind of what Saturn does. It just, that's how it is sometimes. So with the Capricorn rising, Capricorn ascendant, the eyebrows can be very thick, especially in the men. Thick eyebrows. When I think of Capricorn rising, I think about Robert Pattinson. I don't know if it's Patterson or Pattinson, but I don't think he is a Capricorn rising, you know, but the way that he looks, like those kind of sharp but kind of dull features, that to me is very Capricorn rising. So you can have like the high cheekbones and then dark eyes, maybe like a sharp kind of lips, not very soft lips, sharp lips. And they look very mature and a bit old, serious for their age. Sometimes they might dress more mature for their age, or maybe like they might wear vintage clothing, or retro style, like old school kind of clothing, and classic styles as well. Classic styles. So when I mean classic styles, I mean like things that don't really go out of fashion, like pencil skirt, lace tops and all that, and business suits, and certain hats like a fedora or something like that. So very like structured, tailored clothing that has a night that fits the shape very well, and it's tailored to the body. Something like this, maybe a Capricorn rising would wear in the first encounter or at an event and stuff like that. So yeah, it's quite interesting to get into the ascendant sign, the rising sign enough, and should place we definitely should discuss rising signs more, because they definitely have a strong impact on our interactions, especially in the first encounter and all that. Because, like I said, we put up this kind of front, we put up this kind of mask, and in the first encounter, and it's like eventually it wears away, like it disappears, but the ascendant sign still, like, it's a part of us, you know. Our ascendant is still a part of us. The mask is always going to be a part of us no matter what. So even if people break through it, which they eventually do when they get to know us and they take time to get to know us, they will eventually break through that. But the ascendant sign also influences our outlook on life, and it can basically seep into our expressions and our kind of life and lifestyle. So I never expected to be into astrology. I never thought I would be into occult, ancestor work, shadow work, anything like that, because I was like, when I learned I was Capricorn and I knew I was Capricorn, I'm like, okay, this is what I am. But slowly and surely, I suddenly began to get more into spiritual things and get more into astrology and all that. And I was wondering, where is this coming from? I am a life path number 3. So that is to do with like creation and artistic expression, being a very expressive person. And I'm like, but where is this kind of occult and spiritual thing coming from? Where is it coming from? Because throughout my chart, it's like Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. And then there's like a little bit of Cancer, and then there's Aquarius. So I'm like, where's the spiritual stuff coming from? Why is it seeping into my life? Because I'm like, why is it seeping into my life? It's like, why am I drawn to it? Why do I experience supernatural things? Why is this happening to me? And I can attribute it to my rising sign, my ascendant sign. Even though it's like my shell, it's like the outer version of me, I still find that it seeps into my life. It seeps into things. And even with other people as well, their ascendant sign seeps into things. As much as we like to say how we are like our sun sign all the time, and we definitely are. The ascendant sign definitely has a strong influence. That's what I'm saying. It has a strong influence and impact in our life and in our lifestyle and the way we go about things. So it's definitely interesting. I hope that you learned something new, and don't overlook the rising sign. Don't overlook your ascendant sign, because it has a strong impact on many different things. And even in this COVID age and all this, digital meetings, online virtual meetings, chat rooms and all that, or schooling online, business meetings online, dating online, whatever it is, you are still going to be meeting people virtually, like for the first time. So the first encounter can be like online, it can be digital. In fact, I've met people online actually, or have basically established a connection with people online even before COVID and 2020 and all this social distancing thing. I basically have met people online. Like, I started my own meetup group for young women and all that in my city. So I would establish a kind of like connection with people, first encounter with people online before all this. And I was used to it. So I was already meeting people online for the first time. And, Obviously, you know, first encounters, the ascendant sign is going to come out more and discuss things more and all that. And, or like kind of overshadow the core, the center of you. But when you break through it a bit and you get to know the person, you know, it's just learning another side of them. So the ascendant sign is one side, and then they have the other side, their core, and how they communicate through their Mercury and Venus. And if you're dating someone, how they romantically communicate would be their Venus sign. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I hope you enjoy this video, and feel free to check out more of my astrology content on my channel. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, my name is Black Excess Rose. That is Black Excess Rose. I will definitely be making more astrology videos in the future, so take care.